Michael J. Flores, and he looks like he's playing a Bant Hexproof deck.
He is. He wrote about his endeavors playing aggressive decks this week on the premium side, and he said that he tried Naya Blitz to begin with, Frank Carson's list, and he actually he had some success with it, but not enough to actually consider playing it. So he moved on to Bant Hexproof, a deck that has gotten some new additions from the new set, one of which is Voice of Resurgence.
Definitely.
And he also got the new Armadillo Cloak and Unflinching Courage, and that's what he's playing this weekend. You see him starting off with the Temple Garden, taking 2 and playing an Absence Pilgrim. So we are underway.
And we'll see what happens here. So Flores goes on to 18, passes the turn. And John only with 2 Mountains in play. Maybe this signifies a Burning Tree Emissary?
Yeah, you see a Burning Tree Emissary in his hand.
Yeah.
And he also has, an Arbor Elf over there.
He's got a lot of green cards just for having 2. I think he has a 3rd Mountain in his hand too. Yeah, so
bye-bye goes the Pilgrim via Museum Borders.
It's tough to ever mulligan a hand with 2 lands and a Burning Tree Emissary, just because you can always go Burning Tree Emissary into a Flint of the Floor and just have 5 power.
Yeah.
So
Flores is just going to play a Hallowed Fountain. He's going to pass the turn back. So John's going to draw a card here. He draws a Hell Rider for the turn. There is that 3rd Mountain you spoke of. And here comes the Burning Tree Emissary. And one of the things about this red-green deck is that, it's odd to say that a 2-color deck has bad mana, but here we are.
Yeah,
watching it happen. Bad mana,
insane.
and somehow a 3-color deck has better mana. As you see, Michael J is going to play a Loxodon Smiter and just pass the turn back. Domri Rod, the draw there for John, a card that he cannot cast, and it looks like all the cards in his hand right now, Gerard, he can't play.
Cannot cast, yeah. This is why I tend not to play these aggro decks, just because, again, you have no way to kind of sculpt your draw. And Domri Rod helps a little bit, but yeah, you're just... I mean, I guess this could happen with any deck, but Flores is just destroying him with both Loxodon Smiters.
And the pretty telling thing is, you take a look at John's mana base, and it's like, well, how can a 2-color deck have bad mana? You see 4 Rootbound Crags, you see 4 Stomping Grounds, but then you look at the 8 forests and 5 mountains, and yes, mathematically 8 is more than 5.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're going to draw more forests and mountains in a given game of Magic.
Yeah, and honestly, lots of times the 3-color decks just have better mana than the 2-color decks.
Yeah.
Because of all duels. If you play Esper Control, for example, you get to play 20 dual lands.
Yeah.
If you play just a red green aggro, you can only play 8 dual lands.
Now, of course, there are some opportunity costs associated to playing that many dual lands, but at the end of the day, your mana is going to be better with a 3-color deck than a 2-color deck, which sounds backwards and counterintuitive, but it just keeps being the case. As we see an Ethereal Armor here on a Loxodon Smiter, and Mike is coming into the red zone in a big way here, and John probably has an idea what he's up against there. Now he's just seeing the Ethereal Armor kind of give it away.
I was just about to say, why would you play it? Like, why play the armor there?
Sure.
Like, Flores is going to win just with the Loxodon Smiters, and John might just put Flores on maybe, like, mid-range Bant.
Yep.
Maybe, like, the decks with Thragtusk.
The Prime Speaker Bant deck.
Yeah, Prime Speaker, the deck that Paul Rietzel and Matt Sperling kind of made prominent from the WMCQ and the PTQ weekend out of California.
Now you're going to see John have to play a Hell Rider here and just pass the turn back, and a Hell Rider on defense is nobody's friend. No good blocks here, as if he does double block, he is going to be dead. So he'll just have to throw those 2 guys in front of each one of Mike's creatures, end up dying to the 3 Smiters. So I think I agree with you. Yeah, there's no... What is the gain of playing the Ethereal Armor?
Nothing, yeah. It's just showing... Unless, there's no reason why you would want to show your opponent this deck. So, I don't know. Well, it looks like Flores is going to take this game regardless. I think
so now, it looks like he has like maybe a Silverlight Paladin and Unflinching Courage. Yeah, he has Unflinching Courage.
Okay.
He's going to put on the bigger one. Yeah, and so John is going to concede here. So Flores is going to be up a game here against John. Red Green Aggro versus Bant Hexproof.
Yeah, no, fortunately for Flores, it probably won't change how John sideboards. It's not so John, maybe if John had a couple of naturalizes in the sideboard or something, he would bring it in, but since he doesn't, it won't really change too much. Maybe John would have brought in Zealous Conscripts.
Sure.
And now he's not going to.
Yeah, because he knows the deck is just different.
Exactly.
He knows Invisible Stalker and Geist Saint Trap are looming.
Yeah, but if John thought that Flores had something like Thragtusk, had something like Garruk Primal Hunter, had something like Zagana, then he probably would have brought Zealous Conscript. So there, Flores lost some sideboarding points just by playing the Ethereal Armor. The other cards in John's sideboard that he might bring in, Pillar of Flame, just to deal with early mana ramp creatures such as the Absence Pilgrim. Ground Seal, no. Bonfire, probably not. He doesn't really have much against Flores' deck. Taking a look at Flores, for example, what can Flores really bring in? Well, he doesn't want to change his deck too much, right? Feeling of Dread, okay. Buy some time, why not? Ground Seal, no. Negate, no. And Strangler Geist, I mean, maybe. So it's just kind of up to Flores how he wants to build his deck, how he wants to attack John in game 2. And we're going to see what happens. So Flores off to a easy 1-0 start. The game didn't really last too long. John didn't put up much of a challenge just because of his bad mana.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with this deck is you brought up Feeling of Dread. He does Mike have 2 copies of that in his sideboard. The thing with this hexproof deck is, this is a deck that's basically a combo deck. Yeah. You've got your creatures, and then you've got your ways to make the creatures better. So how much stuff can you sideboard out and dilute from that plan? Because if you deviate from the plan, then obviously the plan's not anywhere near as good. So you see the sideboard cards as you set the Feeling of Dread, the Ground Seals, the Negates, what have you. The 4 Strangler Geist. What cards do you want to board in? How do you want to deviate from the plan? Because deviating from the plan makes it that your draw is more inconsistent, and this is a deck that already does have problems with consistency.
Sure.
Being able to do the same thing every game.
Sure. All right. Well, they'll be shuffling up, heading into game 2. John will be on the play. Now, this is kind of interesting because they don't really interact with each other too much. It's more so, okay, what's my draw? Do I have Burning Tree Emissary into Flinthook Floor? Do I have Burning Tree Emissary into Burning Tree Emissary into Gyre Sage or vice versa? Yeah. Okay. And then for Flores, it's the same thing. They're just do I have Invisible Stalkers and a bunch of enchantments? We'll see how it goes. Not too much interaction. Just really comes down to the draws. So maybe the most important thing in this matchup is the mulliganing decisions.
Yeah. Just don't try to keep a hand that you keep like a kind of a sketchy hand. Yeah. It's like, I could get there, I'll keep, whereas you could just take one less card and actually just have it all on your opening hand.
Exactly, because in a matchup like this, there's a good chance you're not going to play out all your cards anyway. John could win or lose the game before he ever even gets to a Thundermaw Hellkite. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I think Flores is probably favored here just because John really can't interact at all. I mean, at least Flores should do some interacting, but for the most part, John just can't do anything against the hexproof guys.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that John doesn't want to ever have come into play, and it's one of the newer cards that really does have a huge impact in this matchup, is Unflinching Courage. Yeah. Because if it is going to be a racing situation, which is where John probably is going to get himself into, being a red-green aggro deck with just a little bit of reach, that's where Unflinching Courage really just turns things around for Mike. That's why we saw people playing Gift of Orzhov before, but that card was so difficult on the mana. Unflinching Courage just does everything that you want it to do in this deck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Armadillo Cloak was one of the best cards when it was printed, and this is just pretty much the same exact thing. Yep. Just some keywording improvement there. All right, so John will be on the play. Let's see if they like their hand or not. There's a couple of lands. I see a Bonfire in John's hand.
He's happy.
I believe. So, all right, so he ends up keeping.
You see a Bonfire, there's a Burning Tree Emissary over there as well as John does draw a card. He draws an Arbor Elf for the turn. Actually a pretty timely draw there. So he can play Burning Tree Emissary into Arbor Elf and then play a 4-drop on turn 3. So not a bad draw there for John at all.
I think his 4-drop is a Gorkling Rampager, is that correct?
Yeah, it does look to be that guy, as Mike is going to have a Voice of Resurgence and pass the turn back.
I mean, is Voice good here? I mean, it's okay, maybe?
Yeah, I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, would you rather have Voice of Resurgence in this matchup or the Strangler Geist that you see in the sideboard?
Yeah, exactly. I think Strangler Geist might be a little better.
It's not. Here's a Gorkland Rampager.
I don't know. I think I would have cast that Gorkland Rampager.
I'd rather have the 4/4 on the table there.
And not even attack.
Yeah,
just don't attack. Just play the Gorkland Rampager. That just seems a bit better, but maybe John has a plan. This is kind of, how Rudy played his game, just more aggressive. Yeah. Like we were thinking he could just play a different style of game. So we'll see how it plays out.
Sun Petal Grove, going to be a Nearheart Pilgrim, going to partner up here.
Ooh, and
there's
a Rancor. Wow.
So now that's a 2, 3, 4. That's a 4-power creature.
Yeah,
there's
4/2 Trampler.
Gain 4 and deal 4.
Yeah, really bad for John here. John's going to need to Bonfire, so he could just Bonfire for 1 here, and he could destroy both creatures. The reason for that, once the Pilgrim dies, the Elemental will go down to a 1 toughness and will also die.
Yeah, it'll have 1 damage on it from the Bonfire. So
yeah, exactly.
If John thinks that he needs, to Bonfire for 2 right now, he does not. Yeah. If he does have that Bonfire in his hand, he can actually just go, Bonfire into the Gyre Sage this turn and take care of both the threats and advance his board.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. I'll go Stomping Ground, pay 2 life, untap with Arbor Elf, Bonfire for 1, Gyre Sage, like Cedric said, hit him for 2, and then next turn he can set up something with the Wolf Run. Yep. He's going to have 3 creatures on the table and will be in much better shape. So let's see if John sees the play. He's thinking here. Do you think he's going to see the play, or do you think he's going to do Bonfire for 2?
I'm not sure. I mean, he's taking a really long time this turn. I think the Bonfire has to be the one card out of 4 in his hand that he has to be thinking about the most right now.
Yeah, it's kind of the more obvious play here. I mean, he ends up attacking for 2.
Okay, well,
which is fine, yeah.
Attack for 2 is fine.
Ooh, unless...
Wow.
Wow, that's interesting, Flores. Flores decides to trade. That was kind of interesting.
I did not expect to see a block there. Flores is going to gain 2 life off of that.
Yeah.
There's the Gyre Sage.
Yeah. And there's Borderline Ranger. Okay, so this is actually better for John now that Flores, because he doesn't even want a Bonfire here.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to Bonfire right now. I'd rather make my Gyre Sage into a 2/3. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
What he's going to do.
Okay.
As long as he remembers that Evolve trigger.
Yeah, I believe he will. Yeah,
okay,
there it is. Why do you think Flores decided to block there?
You know, I'm not really sure. You know, maybe he blocks there to try to stop. Okay, so maybe his thought is, okay, John has a Bonfire of the Damned. He's thinking pretty long and hard about casting this. What can I do to maybe stop him from casting that? If I block with an Earhart Pilgrim and follow up the next turn with like an Unflinching Courage or something, then his Bonfire is worse or nowhere near as good because he can't really cast it to kill my guy.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, what would make Flores think that he has the one, like, you know, we know he only has one Bonfire main deck. He's got a couple more in his sideboard. What? I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So
Spectral Flight
and Etherark.
Okay, so I guess that was the reason.
Yeah, maybe he's just literally thinking, all right, I just don't want him to cast Bonfire for 1. Maybe this puts his shields down from casting it, and if he doesn't cast it, I get to go way over the top, and there's no way he can win. Because now you see that Elemental is a
6
3,
toughness.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, I mean this thing's
8/6, I think.
now.
Yeah. So now John's only out here is like a Zealous Conscript. I don't even think that does it.
Not with Mike. Not with Flores at 21.
Yeah. So I mean, do you think John should have just took our line of play and before the attack, Bonfire?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the thing with this deck is you just have to keep the things off the board.
Yeah.
You know, and you know you want to get them in a position where, all right, like yes, he gets his Rancor back, whatever, but now he just has a handful of enchantments, nothing to put him on.
Sure.
Or the flip side of it is he just has all creatures and no enchantment.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you have to do when you have the opportunity to get their board clear. You have to take it.
Exactly, and now there's just game. I mean, John cannot do anything here.
Yeah, there's no getting that thing off the table for his deck,
especially in a red green deck like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think John could have won this game if he took a different line, but instead he extends the hand, and that was a quick match, only 13 minutes.
Oh, bad hexproof does not take long, my friend. It is here to get things over with and get them over with quickly, and that's what Michael Flores does do. So he's going to be moving on to 4-0.
That's a pretty good start.
John Lafreniere 2-0.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's what John's talking about, and he showed the hand. So his hand is Simic Charm, Spectral Flight, and what was the last card?
There's a Smiter over there.
I think. Smiter?
It's either Smiter and Flinching Courage. I'm not sure. As we're going to come back to us. Yeah, John showing Mike the Bonfire in his hand, saying, I probably should have cast this, I guess.
Yeah.
Kill your guys, and then you have a bunch of creature enchantments and no guys.
No guy, yeah.
And that's the thing with this deck. You take a look at this deck here. He has 4 Stalkers, 4 Geist Sage Trap, 4 Smiter, 4 Voice Resurgence, and the 4 Absence Pilgrim. You just want to be able to kill their creatures and just leave them with all these ways to suit up, but nothing to actually put the suits on.
Yeah, definitely.
The matchup is pretty bad for red-green in general.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just because, if they're on a hexproof draw, you can't interact with them. Bonfire won't be able to chase down their threats unless you actually just run perfectly. You don't have a naturalized type effect. Dominant Rat can't fight with the guys. It's a bad matchup for you, but when you are able to actually, get yourself in a situation where you can turn it around, you have to take it.
Yeah, what's like the best way? Because I know you played a red-green deck like this, and then you moved into Splashy Black. What's the best